Good day, everyone. Just doing a sound check, first of all, see if you can hear the voice and also see the screen. So, okay, very good. It'll start in 1 more minute. Yeah. Good day, everyone. I think we're ready to begin now. O Mamu Rapta, O Mamu Rapta, O Mamu Rapta, O Mamu Rapta. Greetings, everyone. This is the second orientation meeting for the upcoming trip to Kemet. I'm going to turn on my video later. I just want to make sure we have enough good bandwidth for the the whole meeting. And when we do Q&A at the end, we'll everyone can speak. If you want to, unmute yourselves or send it by text. So for now, everyone is muted. Basically, I just do a summary because I think most of you know about the trip. And in the other webinar, we did kind of a summary of what we're doing. And I wanted to do some changes on the website. And I wanted to go over those. And a little change in the itinerary, change the prices and things like that. And then we can have a Q&A after that. So this is the website. You can see the address of the page, which is the next trip, October. If you go to the main page, it'll take you to the journal page with pictures of the last trip and some other information, who we are. And also there's an essay on why going with a trip to Kemet with us is different from going on a regular tour as a tourist. And this is information about the trip from last year. Again, what you're seeing here on the screen are pictures from the trip from last year, and also there's a countdown to the upcoming trip. So to read one, this is what you should have received in the email. This section here, the special message. Try to make it a little louder, larger here. This is a special seminar voyage where we will study the teachings of 4 main ancient Egyptian temples, and we'll spend several days exploring and studying the inscriptions, then practice of divine singing and chant, followed by meditations daily with yoga, spiritual counseling, time as well, spiritual counseling time, as well as personal reflective time and more. So basically this is planned something like our annual conferences and also something like the seminar that we did in Jamaica a few years ago, where we did an extended, I think that one was about 7-8 days. This is going to be something similar. And then travel days will be additional to that. But the difference is that this is going to be a study tour, but also it's going to be a spiritual practice tour. So we're going as followers of the Kemetic teaching, and not just as observers or as tourists who are just going to pass by and awe at all the things that are going to be seen, and then go home and then go back to your life as it is, and then forget about it. It'll just fade away. So this is not for that purpose. It's for purpose of for those who are really interested and want to become practitioners of the Kemetic teaching. And also, well, let me read the last paragraph and then I'll go into it more. This will be a special opportunity to experience the Seti I temple. So we're going to go to 4 main temples, but we're going to be concentrating on one, which is the Seti, the first temple, in a way that has not been done by true Kemetic followers since ancient times, with immersion and special insights at specific locations. So as we go through the temples, especially the Seti temple, we're going to be concentrating on special areas of the temple. We're not just like going to go through and walking through the whole thing, and we'll do that first, but then we're going to concentrate on particular areas, and then we're going to stay there and reflect and meditate and so on and so forth to really soak it in and to become part of the energy, become harmonized with the energies of the temple and the teaching that are inscribed there. This location, as has not been espoused before, the teaching has, as we're going to do it, has been espoused this way before, but not since ancient times. That was the point that I was trying to get at. Other people have gone, Rosicrucians and the Fellowship of Isis and other people have gone, but not who have gone in the way of following the teaching as we have brought it forth. This is an opportunity to connect with the teaching, not just as a tourist, but as a true follower of the teaching, with full access and no ambiguities. This is the first in a special series of seminars espousing special teachings at their original temple locations and environments. And so the Temple of Seti First, in the way that we have arranged it, most people go there unless you're part of a university Egyptology department. You don't spend a lot of time there. Most tourists go like on a caravan. They go in a couple hours and then they go out, and we're going to be there for days. So we're really going to be able to examine closely and soak in the teaching and bring it forth in comfort and relaxation. We're not going to be running around too much, as most tours do. This verse focuses on the essential teachings of Asar, Aset, and Heru. So this first seminar that we're doing is the first in a series of seminars. We're going to focus on the teaching of Asar, Aset, and Heru. So attendance at it, and there are going to be others. If there's enough support, we'll do one next year, and then the next year after that, if there is a next year to do it in. And we will have a special teaching regarding the specific temple and divinity. And there has already been a request to do Ma'at next year. And Ma'at was going to be the subject of the annual conference this coming December. And so that, really goes, right in harmony with where we are. So, and actually, I was planning to focus on Aset next time, the Aset teaching, which is one of the important teachings that we're doing at Kemet University this year. So we spend quality time, like all day, at the Temple of Aset and so on and so forth. That's the kind of program. And so this is a series of teachings as it's planned, it will go say for 10 years. And if you attend, it's designed so that if you attend any one of them, you would get the power and the important teaching needed for our times, for attaining enlightenment, and so on. If you were to attend all of them, then that would be like a kind of complete absorption, devotional, wisdom-wise. You would be in a place where you are fully absorbed into the teaching as a whole. So if you can make any of them, I think it would be a special and important opportunity. So attendance at any of the planned seminars is designed to provide all necessary teachings to attain enlightenment. Receiving all of the teachings from all seminars that may be possible if the trips remain possible in the future will expand the teaching and ensure spiritual success. This is a video from the last orientation. Today's video will be added to this as a playlist, so you'll find it here probably this evening or tomorrow. This teaching is going to be focusing on the Temple of Seti I, which is the Temple of Asar, and as such, is going to be focusing on this particular book that we've written and brought forth. There is more information about myself and Sebaja in here. We're going to be conducting the seminar. And this is a new addition to the site as reflections from the 2015 trip. So you can listen to those who participated, those who attended the trip. This was more of a tour, but it was still valuable in a Kemetic format. And the last one, I believe the last two, Sabajai and I spoke so you can check out and see what we all said about the trip and how we felt about it and so on. And this gives some details of the itinerary. Looks like I'm losing power here. Hold on. It says I'm plugged in. All right, we'll go on for now and see how things go. Oh, we're fully charged. That's what it means. Okay. There are a couple of changes that are going to be made to the itinerary. Didn't get a chance to do it, but this is the some images. So this is the hotel we're going to be staying at when we're in Abydos, and these images are some of the images from the temples we'll be looking at. This is some of the examinations that were done on site. This is the Asarian we're going to be visiting as well. In my view, it is from a period of before 30,000 BC, and some tests have been done that seem to confirm that. But details of that will only be discussed on the trip. That's us emerging from the temple of Seti I. We're also going to be visiting the temple of Het-Heru at Dendra. We're also going to be visiting Karnak and Luxor temples as well. This is another picture of the hotel. The other picture was from the outside, from the front, and this is on the inside. And we're going to be staying. This outside portion is for the general population or general tourists. Now, behind the statue, behind here is a special area that has been prepared for spiritual groups, and that's where we're going to be staying. It's a private area, and with some rooms that are temple replicas, and so it's very nice. Many of you attended last time, saw it. This is a conference room that we'll be using in that same area that I just talked about. This is another image from the temple. And we'll be examining all that closely. This is Sebajah here, doing a lecture at our annual conference. This is again another image from the temple when we're visiting. And in this voyage, we're going to be concentrating and we're going to be giving some special teachings that have not been given before, even on the last trip, because it was more of a kind of fast tour. So we're going to be taking our time this time and providing those special teachings. Let's look at this image here quickly. If I can get it centered. All right. So we may have some people coming from Europe also and from other places. So those coming from the U.S. are going to leave on day one, which is October 1st. You arrive there on October 2nd. And then we'll be transferring to Luxor. And we'll be staying in Luxor overnight. And then on the next day, we will be visiting the Karnak temple and Dendra on the way to Abydos. And then we'll be in Abydos for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Then we will return to Luxor in the morning, and we will be visiting the Luxor temple. But also, an addition that hasn't made is that we'll be visiting the Luxor Museum. And then we'll visit the Luxor temple in the afternoon and evening. So we'll be at night also, late afternoon and evening. And then On the final day, they'll be overnight in Luxor, and then returning the next evening, the final day, to the Luxor airport, and then to Cairo to return to your countries. Those now there are some. These are some more images you can see on the website of the accommodations and the quality and everything like that. I think this would be considered a 4-star hotel, essentially. This is the private area that I was talking about. These are the replica temple rooms that we'll be using. This is the conference room right here. This is Sipaja and Asar Setna having a discussion. That's the front of the hotel once more. What we decided is that since there are several people who did not want to take the package with the air going out of New York to Cairo, because some of you are flying from Minneapolis or Atlanta. We ourselves were flying out of Miami, and you might be able to get cheaper flights depending on where you're going through, or how many stops you want to make. We decided to just do the land portion of the program. So the program, as we have it now, does not include air fare from New York to Cairo, or from the US to Cairo, or from London to Cairo, wherever the case may be. And it does not include air within Egypt. So it does not include air from Cairo, say, to Luxor. So you can take care of that. We had gotten a estimate from the travel agency that the air would be, including inside Egypt, would be $1,036. So if you add $1,036 to $1,100, you get like $2,136. So that's what the trip cost with everything that's included now would be. And so you can get a single supplement if you want. You can get the trip includes breakfast and dinner. If you want lunch also, you can get that extra as well. Because we're trying to do that, to accommodate the lowest possible fee and that kind of thing. So I think some of you have already sent your deposits. You can start making your payments now. And the trip has been verified. Everything it's fully ready to go. So it's just a question of how many people will send in their payments and be ready to arrive in Luxor on October 2nd. You will be met by the tour operator there in Egypt at the airport. They'll bring you to the hotel at Luxor. And we'll be meeting that evening in Luxor, October 2nd, and getting ready to begin the program on the next day. So to send the payment, we're trying to avoid additional costs with PayPal. So those of you who want to use PayPal, you can do it. Send it as a friends and family payment. Just send the funds with a note. Saying this is for a deposit for the trip. Or if you're making extra payments, you can put it towards that, and we will put it on you will make a note of all your payments, the way we did last time. If you want to send a check or money order, send it to this address here. And the same thing, we will be keeping track of everything and everyone who's going. There will be some optional excursions. There's going to be some other ones besides these, but these are the ones that we have so far. We just found out a couple of weeks ago that the tomb of Nefertari and King Seti I will be opened to the public, like in the first time in like 20 or 30 years, something like that. And the Tomb of Queen Nefertari, I talked about that at last Saturday's program, the Kemet University, not Kemet University, the Saturday Night Hieroglyphic Studies lecture series. One of the best, probably the best preserved tomb, and the images probably best preserved out of any of the temples either. And we talked about one of the special teachings at the Tomb of Nefertari. The Tomb of King Seti I is where one of the versions of the Glorious Light meditation is. So that's to be extremely important for those who are practitioners who've studied that for many years. And it'll be $140, and we'll do that on the last day. So we'll be leaving Abydos early to get back to Luxor to include this. And I think they're only allowing like 100 people per day or something like that. So we have to make a reservation, as soon as we know how many people are going. And then the other one, the other optional excursion is to have a after hours private time in the temple to do a special program there. And that would require a minimum of 10 people. Because I think that is pretty much they're charging like 175, 108, no, well, $1,700, $1,800. So divided by 10, that would be the cost. So if there's less people who want to do it, then they have to pay more. So you get the point. If there's more people, we pay less. And that we did this last year, and it worked out very, very nice. So we can talk a little bit more about that. There's registration information here for everyone to read before you send in the funds. And also you need to go here and look at this registration form, print it out, fill it out, and send it back in. So two things you need to do is to send in the registration form and the funds for the trip to be assured to hold your place and to get on with everyone else and that kind of thing. This is the form that you're going to look at and print out. And so I need to change the price there a little because the form was not changed. So we'll be changing that as soon as we finish here. Okay, and send that back in. I think that's it. This is us when we're doing the Felucca ride on the Nile. And this was in Saqqara. Okay, so we can open up for Sibaja. If you want to say any words, you can go ahead, and I'll turn my camera and see if it comes on. Do everyone. You can give your question in chat, or you can unmute yourselves by pressing *6 and asking your question. Okay, so where do we fly into? Okay, so from wherever you're coming in the world, you will be flying into Cairo first, and then from Cairo you go to Luxor, which is further south. So everyone coming into the country, you go to Cairo. and then Luxor. So if you when you arrive on that day, then you'll be taking the next flight that you can to Luxor, and you let us know, and we'll let them know to pick you up at the airport.
Uja. Also, Asar Onk will be coming on this trip with us, and he is going to be leaving out of Atlanta. So there's probably going to be a group of persons leaving out of Atlanta. So one option is that you can all connect with Asar Onk. We can give you his information, and he can try to basically see if you all can coordinate your arrival times or even your departure times together as a group, so that way you're traveling as a group. As Sebama said, when you go into Cairo, you will, we've inquired with the folks in Egypt whether or not you need someone to meet you in Cairo to help you get the connection to Luxor. And from two different sources, the answer was that is not necessary. That when you get to Cairo, you will get they have these little booths there. You can purchase your visa there. Those of you who went last time, you can also, if you want to put yourself out there as someone that maybe people going for the first time can connect with to see if you're in their city or location, you can travel with them or meet them, at maybe they can drive to Atlanta and go out of Atlanta with you if they wanted to do that. That's fine. But when you get to Cairo, you're going to pass these little booths, and the booths you pay for your visa. I can't remember the fee exactly, so I think it's around $20 or something for the visa. So you pay that to them. Pardon me?
I think it's 25.
Okay, so $25 for the visa, U.S., correct?
Correct.
Correct. If you get the visa here in the U.S. before you go, they say it may cost a little bit more, but that is another option. You could get the visa in the U.S. before you go. But you can also get it there at the airport in Cairo once you've landed. And then also if you need to change money, they can also change money there for you as well. If you need to convert into Egyptian pounds at that time, you may want to change some of your funds over to have some Egyptian pounds at that time. You want to bring, I would suggest that you bring lots of single dollar bills, like $1 bills. Although we'll be including the majority of the tipping in the fee that we put out there, you may want to buy bottled water, which they sell there for a US dollar, because you get very dehydrated. So you may want to bring a lot of singles so that you don't have to make change, or $5 and $10 smaller bills. You may want to have some of those on hand as well too. So anyway, when in Cairo, you buy your visa, then they should take you to the area where you wait for the Luxor flight, or where you can catch the Luxor flight. So you really don't need someone to meet you in Cairo. And then in Luxor, someone will meet you. They'll probably have a sign saying SEMA Institute or Egyptian Yoga Tour. We'll decide on what it's going to be, and you'll get that information beforehand. As far as like items you need to bring, we'll probably put together a list based on the last flight. And again, those who were there with us before, if you can perhaps put together a list of things that you think people should walk with, things that you found needed helpful for yourself and for others that you had. And if you can email that to me, then I'll kind of compile it into a list so that we can send out to everyone of helpful things you may want to bring. As Sebama said, the program in the temple itself, the ritual we would like to do in the temple, is going to be a separate fee, but it would be something that would be highly recommended. And I believe everyone that went there were a couple of people that went to the last minute and they did not pay for the ritual that we did there, but everyone that was there wanted to do the ritual, so no one wanted to be left out on ritual night. And I can pretty much almost guarantee that that will be your feeling. You will not want to be left out on ritual night. So if in some way you're able to do it, as Sebama said, probably, the more people do it, the cheaper the price will be. Although they've given us a price of $1,700, we would probably round it off to $1,800 or so, because there's all these extra fees that tend to come up at the last minute for tipping different persons. So it should be less than that. It was less than that last time, but now I see they've raised the fee. So probably we would add a little bit extra just to buffer. And if we don't use the buffer, then we can, refund it, or we'll have you, let you know that it might be a little bit extra, because things change pretty much on the ground at the time after the ritual. Then extra fees are added on, of which we have no prior knowledge and cannot do anything about it, and have to pay. But it should be around that $1,700 fee, and I would suggest that that it's something we try to do as a group. We don't have to. We do have the rooms there at the hotel that are replicas, and we could do actually rituals there instead. But those who did it felt like very special experience from doing it in the temple. That was very much appreciated, even with all the guards there and the soldiers and the guns with the guards and all of that. Even with all of that, the feeling was very special. Everyone shared in that special feeling. I think those are the main things. So we've included, I think, because there's tipping that is done, just like in the U.S. here. If you, you tip the waiters, you tip the person who helps you with this, you tip here, you also tip the people in the temple. So that was an experience last time that also we wanted to avoid in this trip. And so one way you do it, you can basically collect the tips up front and then, pass it on to the tour guide, and the tour guide tips appropriately everyone throughout the trip that needs to be tipped. And that way we as visitors, we don't have to be, you'll still be approached and asked for a tip, because that's how the people in the temples are there. But you don't have to do anything. This way we don't have to go out of ourselves and our appreciation for the experience to be dealing with money and tips and all of that. So the fee does include the tips for the main days that we're going to be in Abydos. You may have to, if you're doing any extra trips or anything like that, you may have to, tip as needed if it's not something that's part of our package. The meals also, just to be aware, I think we are doing the half board again for this price. So the meals are 2 meals a day. Some people may have a little bit of trouble with that. So if you need an extra meal, it can be purchased, but that would be extra. We're actually probably going to try to see if we can do the meals like we did last time, maybe like around more like a brunch, like around 10-ish or something like that. And then the other one, maybe like an early dinner, like a 4 or 5, so that, we can get by with 2 meals a day. But just to be aware, there are 2 meals a day. We're going to try to see if we can get, like last time, some fruit in the afternoon, and then like some dates and nuts for after our evening worship program for our devotional offering. But there are going to be 2 meals a day. You can bring. We'll probably have in the list of things to bring, like energy bars. Protein bars that can last. You need to bring like electrolyte drinks, things like that, because a lot of people got dehydrated. Their electrolytes were drained. There were not a lot, a couple, and they were getting cramps and things like that. This is a much less intense trip though than the last one, so I don't expect we'll have all of these issues. And the main temple we're going to be is like 2 blocks away, so it'll be hot, but I don't expect that we'll have all of the issues with the dehydration from going up into the desert and all of that when we went to the tombs and things like that. So this should be a much easier trip on the body and to allow you to be able to appreciate the experience more. But just to be aware of those extra expenses that may relate to you, particularly if you want to have an extra meal. And I think anything else about one? Any other extra expenses that may relate to them in a personal way, other than any extra excursions that are not included? extra meals?
No, just about you talked about the temperature. In October is when it starts cooling down, and the winter is like late December, January, February into March. So it's going to be warm, but it's not going to be like steamy hot, like not steamy, like dry, oven type heat as in the summer. So it's going to be much more comfortable. I've been there in October, and it was very comfortable. And I've been there also in February, March, and it gets cold in the evening. Actually, you have to have like a coat. So it's interesting that way, desert weather. So I was going to just say a couple of things about the price also. That I was trying to keep it under 2,000, as you all know. And then we decided to add the tips. That was one of the reasons, and a couple of price changes that occurred. But the tips was a big thing because it kind of detracts from the relaxation and comfort of the trip. So all that's going to be included, so you don't have to worry about that. There was something else I was going to say, but I don't recall right now. So, but yeah, you can unmute yourself again if you want to say something else. Or any.
Nothing else. Nothing else. If any of the other, attendees to the previous trip wanted to add anything, you're welcome to. Anything that we are overlooking that you feel is important for anyone wanting to go on the trip to know, or any questions anyone has. Okay.
Uja.
Uja, go ahead.
Dua, there's a question from Shims Patah from Minneapolis. We're going to be flying out of Minneapolis. Are we then responsible for the airfare in Egypt, or is that part of the $1,100 package?
Right there in this package, there's no air included at all, so you have to take care of everything. Getting to Cairo and then Cairo to Luxor and back. The last one I looked at, it was $110, I think, for the Cairo to Luxor.
Okay.
That's the last one I saw.
Do we purchase that at the time of leaving?
Yeah, you should get that with with all your air. I would say get it all together if you can. Like Minneapolis or New York to Cairo, and then Cairo to Luxor, get it all together. You can get them separately, but I would suggest getting it all together.
Okay, so if we fly direct from Minneapolis to Cairo, then we need to purchase Cairo to Luxor and Luxor back to Cairo.
Correct.
Okay, and are there any transfer fees, like with the people that pick us up from Luxor to take us to the site? And as far as when we arrive in Luxor, you said there's going to be people there to meet us. Are they?
Right. I did not discuss the whole plan, and they did not say anything extra for transfers. I can double check, but as far as of now, I don't know of any transfer fees from the Luxor airport to the hotel in Luxor.
Okay, so you recommend getting all the airfare at once as opposed to getting the airfare once we arrive in Cairo?
Correct, because we don't know what the they're hoping that this new opening of the Nefertari and City First is going to increase. I'm not sure how much it's going to increase the tourism, but that's one of their strategies. So we don't know exactly how many. That's kind of the season for academics to do the research and things like that, and so we don't know how many regular tourists are going to go the way things are in the world and in the Middle East and everything. So I was just getting everything beforehand and being all set.
Okay. Dua.
Need to be sure that your arrival in Cairo, that you allow yourself, just like in the U.S. with transfers, that you allow yourself, time to transfer to the other airlines. And as far as transfer fees, although we were not told anything, Shamsuri, probably, it would probably be good just to have a little extra something there, because you know how it is. Sometimes we find out these things on these fees on the ground. Um, but we'll specifically try to inquire, not even ask the question beforehand. We'll try to inquire to find out. But it's probably, some unexpected fee somewhere is probably to be expected.
Okay, the other question there says, so we need to be in Luxor on the 1st or the 2nd of October? And the answer is the 2nd. So you need to arrive in Luxor on the 2nd by the evening, meaning everyone there in the evening on the 2nd of October. So you would leave.
So we should have a question.
First.
Hello?
Hello, go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry. I have a question in regards to, so should we purchase the ticket to Cairo and then fly to Luxor? Or because I saw tickets going straight to Luxor for the 2nd, which takes about 2 days, coming from Chicago. So do we fly, should we fly to Cairo directly and then fly to Luxor and be there by the 2nd, or can we fly straight to Luxor?
Good question. I'm not aware of any flights that go direct to Luxor. I think there used to be, especially out of Europe, London, things like that, but I'm not aware of any now. Maybe, if you want to check to see if there are, but I don't believe there are. So you have to go to Cairo.
Well, it was a connected flight, so it was included in the pricing. Instead of purchasing another ticket in Cairo and then flying to Luxor, it was included in the transfer.
Okay, right. Yeah, that's what I'm suggesting. That's what I'm suggesting to do that. Right.
Okay, so as long as we end up in Luxor on the 2nd, that should be fine. It was included in the pricing there and back, so that you wouldn't have to purchase the ticket in Cairo.
Correct. Yeah, you can get two separate tickets, from anywhere in the world, but I think it's better if you get it all together.
Okay.
And I was asking a question. Okay, Dua. At what time to arrive on the 2nd? It would be beneficial if you could arrive no later than early evening. What I mean by that is like 7, to arrive at the hotel, if possible, so that we can, you can relax and we can have a meeting, an orientation of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be seeing, the first two temples the next day, and we can talk about it and all that kind of thing. And we can gather.
Isn't Luxor open at night?
Luxor is open in the evening, yes. I'm not sure up till what time, but it is open in the evening, probably, maybe 9 p.m. or something. So the visit at Luxor was planned on the last day of the trip of the program. So if you want to do that, it will be an extra fee, which is not much, like $7. If anyone wants to do that, but I'm not sure that there will be time if we're going to have an orientation meeting to do that as well. That's the only thing.
Hello, I'm sorry. I have another question in regards to the visa purchase. Do we have to have our passport before we purchase a visa, or is the visa just necessary?
Yeah, they require a visa, and you do need to have your passport, ready to present before you go on the trip.
Okay.
So the passport you need to have leave in the U.S. For international travel, for travel anywhere, and then the visa. It's probably just the easiest thing to get the visa there in Cairo when you change over. If you say the flight is traveling straight to going to Luxor, I guess it depends on. You would want to check and see that it's stopping in Cairo. so that you could, your transfer in Cairo. I think Sibama was saying, I don't know if did you notice the flight that you said it was booked through to Luxor, but you had to, I think, change planes or it stopped someplace. Where did it stop? Did it stop in Cairo?
Yes, it's a connected flight, so it would fly from Chicago to Cairo, and then Cairo you have a connected flight to Luxor. So it's included in the pricing. It was about $1,036.
Exactly. So that's exactly what anybody leaving from anywhere they'd want to do. They want to actually book the flight to Luxor, and then probably, I would assume, just about all flights would connect in Cairo. If the flight does not connect in Cairo, then you would probably need to get the visa in the U.S. before you leave. But if the flight connects in Cairo, it's just very easy, because in the U.S. you would have to go to, I don't know, the consulate or whatever it would be an extra trip. Whereas in Cairo, they have little booths right there that you just go and you pay, and it's very simple and easy to do the visa in Cairo.
Okay. Thank you.
It may be possible to get it in Luxor also. I can inquire about that too, but I don't know at this time. It may be possible. We can find that out also beforehand.
But everyone says, I think the routine is to get it in Cairo, is the routine.
I think that's correct, yes.
Right.
Any other questions?
Uja Sebai, just for the sake of booking the flights, we want to book a flight out of Luxor on the 9th. Is that correct?
I believe it's on the 10th. Let me go back and see. Right, it's on the 10th.
Okay, so
correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then we book. You also mentioned something about an extension in Cairo. Is that still happening, or is that and
Right.
if so, what are the prices on that?
Right, we decided to cancel that portion, and kind of for security reasons, and and to keep the price, the cost down, and everything like that. So we decided to cancel that portion. We were going to be extending it to like the 13th or 14th with a little thing to Cairo, but I think Sabida and I decided to suspend that. I don't think we're going to reconsider. We may, but I don't think we're going to reconsider. So those who may want to stay over longer, that's your choice. And do that and go elsewhere while you're there as well. So, but as of now, we kind of decided to suspend that portion.
Dua.
Uja, Shantari, if I would say if anybody wants to do that, you can let us know, and we can pass the information on to Adam, so that they're very willing to facilitate that aspect also for any of the group that may want to do that. It could be arranged separately. One of the reasons, again, we're trying to not spend too much time in Cairo, I'll consider it, is only because they've had some incidents in Cairo, and there's there's ongoing issues with local politics, and they've had they had a couple of incidents in January of this year, which I know is a little bit ago, but in Cairo, again, near tourist sites and things like that, and a hotel in Cairo. So we're just trying to kind of minimize our time in those areas at this point.
Nini, I understand, completely your concerns there.
There's a question here about time. On the same thing, because it's related to Shamsari, you can look at as early, pretty much at any time on the 10th. So the ends and the night. I'm sure we'll have breakfast in the morning, and then be leaving to going to the airport. Okay, I just muted everyone. So to get out of the extraneous noise, so if you want to speak again, unmute yourself, star 6.
Hi, this is Kanaya Kennedy out of Atlanta. Can you hear me?
Yes, Nee, I can hear you.
Awesome. So I can't say that I'm a true follower of ancient Kemetic spirituality, but I'm interested. Like right now, I'm studying different spiritual paths. Do you think this would be a good trip for me to take, or do I really need to be focused on this particular system?
No, you don't need to be focused, but if you have an innate interest and you have seen any of my videos online, you have read any of the books, I think that, and if you like what you're feeling and receiving from it, this is going to be like multiplied times 100, kind of thing. So this particular, I would say, view the videos from the previous trip, which I believe are on the site as well. Listen to what the people said in the recordings, and also at least read one of the books and really this one, which is what the trip is going to be based on, and go from there. If you like, what you're receiving from it, the teaching and the insights and the elevation that comes from it, then I would say that it's for you. If you're, this is not going to be a trip for people who are, say, following Islam or Christianity or Judaism or some kind of Orthodox religion, and they just want a tour of, like, to see the sites. This is designed for people who want to get real insight and real connection, real spiritual practice, for moving towards spiritual enlightenment in life. And if you don't know what spiritual enlightenment means, then you look the videos, read up on it, and because you have 3 months and a few weeks to bone up on what we are bringing forth as an authentic Kemetic faith, tradition, spiritual practice. And it's not any kind of a cult or any kind of, shall we say, some kind of weird tradition. This is where we are trying to connect directly to the power and the glory of the Kemetic teaching, which is an African teaching, spiritual philosophy, on a par with any world philosophy of the East or West. And this is what we're about. And how to practice that in the best quality, in the best and most powerful and effective way, especially in view of our times and where humanity is heading and things of that nature. That's what this is about.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Sibama?
Neat,
Okay. Well, I think you gave a good overview. Again, if anyone else in the group would like to respond to the last caller, to facilitate her in answering that question, you're welcome to. If anyone else in the group would like to share, I think Sibama gave a good overview of it. I guess I would say if you are open to spirituality in the terms of spiritual evolution and growth. And if you're open to or interested in the ancient Egyptian spiritual path, if you don't know a lot about it, but if you would like to know more and if it's something that appeals to you, you don't have to. So Ahmad said, I think if someone is looking for a general tour of the site, then this may be disappointing because we are only focusing on 4 areas. We're not going to go to the pyramid. It's not a whirlwind when we go to the pyramids. That was the last one we did. This is more the 4 areas we're focusing on are very are sites that definitely you would want to see. And as Rahman said, we're going to be able to spend more time there. So we're going to be doing more in-depth studies especially the site in Abydos. So, for somebody who is not into, and you don't have to be into only the Egyptian spirituality, because what we're going to be discussing is really about enlightenment and attaining spiritual evolution. And in this context, all the authentic philosophies that are teaching this are essentially teaching the same thing. So because we communicate in English, it'll be a commonality if you're into any other spiritual tradition that's
Sorry.
Why do you want to go ahead and mute all and then I'll unmute again?
That was me. I was trying to open up the Egyptian.
Oh, okay. I go. That's like our music. Okay. So I guess that's how I would say. It's like you don't have to be specifically. You have to be a little bit into a deeper spirituality. You want to do the exercise postures. You want to meditate. You want to feel your spiritual essence. You want to have a spiritual experience. And you want to understand how the teachings to be able to promote your spiritual experience. So it's not just teaching to gain intellectual knowledge. It's about your own mystical awakening, so to speak. So if that is something you're interested in, or an area where you're where you are currently, then I think you would appreciate it coming from even a non-Afrocentric background as well. But if you're into other traditions that are similar.
So, I think she was saying a few things here.
Hi, Harriet. It's Yolanda Willis calling from the BSA. I'm calling regarding a customer who's completely down in Iowa due to a 25-pair cable cut. And originally, CenturyLink advised that they were waiting on the cable tech to arrive, and in fact, they had denied our request to escalate on the LEC as a result of this pending arrival, and this was earlier today. But now they're saying the cable tech doesn't work on the weekends. So the customer is basically saying that that's just really not acceptable, and they're looking to push CenturyLink to see if they can get somebody out there today, or at least acknowledge that it's humanly impossible to get it done. Customer ticket number.
I think that was some other issue. I'm not sure who was speaking there. So Kania Kennedy from Atlanta saying, not looking for a tour, just not committing to a specific spiritual path. I am studying many spiritual paths and creating a system that works for me. I completed the Kemetic Yoga certification last year, and I'm intrigued by this tradition, but in my studies it's never referenced, so I thought this may be a good way to get deeper and find out more. And I think it would be. So you've had a connection, you've had some instruction in it. So I think this could be a good opportunity for you to experience it. It would be like going to a conference, but at the end of the year, like 3-day conference. But this is going to be like on orders of magnitude more powerful and more of a deeper breath experience as well. You said again, Camilla, I traveled with Sabaja in the group last year without prior exposure to the group. Shirley Wiggins says, to the group, and found the experience to be invaluable. Very, very good. This is another reference. You can go to the Egyptian Yoga website for more information as well if you have not been there. There are articles to read and different things. You can listen to the music because we'll be doing music while we're there as well, chant. So it's to bring the teaching alive. So I think that'll really be a good experience for you to experience that. Free video. And you can join the mailing list if you're not on the mailing list already. Okay, any final questions before we conclude?
I just want to say that, so for example, I think,
So, Baja, I think we lost you.
no, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, no, I wanted to say for Kanya, so in that she's taken the Kemetic Yoga certification from last year, in this sort of a program, if you would want to, only if you would want to, you might be approached to, if you wanted to do one of the sessions, lead one of the sessions, classes there, you may be, approached if that's something you would like to do. So it's very, a little, I guess maybe a little casual in that, we once we get there, then we we'll have kind of a plan. We'll see how things are. We'll set up someone will do the morning devotional worship. We're going to basically, see the schedule, because sometimes the schedule as we plan it here and then how things change on the ground are a little bit different. So we will have an I-Day, but we'll likely have a definite session. If it's cooler, we may be able to have that outdoors this time. But even indoors, they have a huge, large area that's air conditioned. So, everyone kind of helps out and lends a hand, and that's like the spiritual service. As part of it is needed. Everyone pitches in, and it becomes kind of like an extended family gathering. Okay. Ma, there's a question about the booking the departure flight again.
Uja, is there a particular airline going from New York or Atlanta to Cairo? What airlines do you use so that people booking their trip might arrive about the same time? It's a good question. I think if people are going to be traveling from different cities, it might get close to the same time and that kind of thing, but it's not going to be, around the same time. The one out of New York, there are several that go out of New York. The only one that I know of that goes directly is Egypt Air. And I personally think that it's probably okay and safe if you want to use Egypt Air out of New York. But I would not stop either through France or use Egypt Air out of Europe. After the disaster of one of their planes, we don't know if it's terrorism or not. But France, it seems to be a kind of hotbed because I don't want to get into the details, but they are heavily involved with the U.S. in the Middle East, and they're being retaliated against. So I would stay away from France, flying through France, and stay away from Egypt Air out of Europe. So the other airlines I know out of here, out of Miami, I should say here, out of Miami, we're probably going to be using Alitalia, and they stop in Rome. Um, uh, the British Air stops in London, and a couple other ones stop, like Lufthansa stops in Germany, and then they have a flight from Germany to Cairo, and that kind of thing. So it's so if people are traveling, gathering in a particular city, then they will more or less, then they'll get there at the same time. But if they're traveling from different cities, then it's just going to be kind of throughout the day. Would you have a question about confirming best times to arrive? You said October 2nd by 7 p.m. And what was the best time to book departing flight? And I think we just, I would say, trying to arrive, what I meant by arriving on the 2nd, arriving at the hotel no later than 7 p.m. Like not arriving in Luxor at 7 p.m. So you have to try to do that if possible. And as far as the departure, on the final day, which is October 10th, there's going to be, I think, a breakfast, and I think you can try to book, at whatever time your flight. They reduced the flights, so I'm not sure what's going on there as far as the Luxor Cairo flights. So because they used to be like almost every hour because there are so many people going, but there are less people going to Egypt, which is actually good for us to have less people there. But they've canceled some of the flights, so it's like you have to wait a while to get a flight, or it might be early, so you have to look into that. So on the last day, you can leave at any time you need to leave because the program technically ends on the 9th in the evening, although we'll probably have breakfast the next day before leaving. And so that's how that goes. A great tool for booking flights. Yes, you can check that. You can also check kayak.com. You can also check cheapair.com. Thoughts on flights out of Greece? I don't know that there's any problem in flights out of Greece. I did that once on my first trip, but that was many years ago. And I flew out of Athens. I went to Athens first, and I went to some of the sites there, the museum. I went to some of the. I went to the Parthenon, and I went to a few sites out of Athens as well. At the Oracle. And then I left there to go to Cairo. So I'm not aware of any problems there. Yeah, Shamsur, you went to Greece. Greece is a nice trip to go afterwards also because you can see the after effects of Kemet, of what happened. I was considering going there again, actually. I was considering going last time because I wanted to go to I remember the name of the island now, Delos, maybe, to a surviving temple of Isis. That's what they call it there at this point. But it's kind of a trip, and I didn't want to go because it was in the middle of the Greek elections and all that kind of thing, all that debacle of what happened there. So, but I was considering doing that. And Jasmine, you and Kania are both in Atlanta, so you may want to be in touch with each other to book, because our uncle will be leaving from Atlanta too, and he has been to Egypt before and is one of our program assistants. Yes, I am definitely interested in booking the flight as a group, as you may want to touch bases with him. I would avoid anything going through Istanbul. Yes, we are also advocating avoiding any Middle Eastern country, avoiding Turkey, avoiding Saudi Arabia, or anything like that. Go ahead and speak.
Pooja, can you hear him?
Me, yes. So, Ajay, go ahead.
Just a moment.
Right. So, as I was saying, I would avoid going through any Middle Eastern country. I would avoid France also at this point.
So, I was going to say, although we are recommended that you get into Luxor at a specific time, um, based on when your flight comes into Cairo and all of that, you know, the bottom line is to just arrive in Luxor that evening. Because even if you end up arriving late that evening, you know, it's okay.
Right.
Someone will be able, as long as we know when your flight is coming in, you know, we will be able to meet you. We had an issue with people missing their flight in New York because their flight from their city to New York, there were storms, and so their flight got in late. So then they missed the flight from New York to Cairo, and that was a little bit of an issue. And so there were actually communication issues and all of that. So I know like there is an app on the phone called WhatsApp, and I believe that's international. I'm not sure if it's in Egypt, but that would be something we would need to connect with, and so that you know you all would have the name for the hotel and all of that, just in case any things occurred along that way. But usually we'll try to figure out what's going on with you, and I think we communicated by text. I think you have to pay it costs a little bit more to text to answer the text like in Egypt from your phone, but essentially we did that because it was kind of an emergency situation, and so I think they were texting us from New York or texting my phone from New York, and we were responding that way. We could get an idea of what was going on and how to guide and direct them. So I think anytime you can get into Luxor in that day, but of course the earlier you can, the easier it'll make it for everyone, but essentially just to get there in that day ultimately. That's how. Sebama, what time are we? So the next morning, so they're arriving the night. The next morning, we are going to do Karnak the following morning?
Correct. We're going to do Karnak in the morning, and then on the way to Abydos, we're going to stop in Dendera.
Right. So Karnak is probably going to be, 2-3 hours or something, or?
Correct. I think they will both be
so I guess ultimately, I'm saying ultimately, if anyone misses their flight, I guess they can still get in early the next morning. You don't want to, I guess we'll have to figure out what time the bus leaves Luxor, but you would miss the tour to the Karnak if you happen to be delayed or miss your flight. But you would have to kind of be there by the time the bus leaves to go to Dendera.
I'll say one more thing. I think that we will be keeping track of everyone who's going and what cities they're going from, and we can make assist everybody to get together in the cities that they're traveling from and things of that nature. Because we'll need to know that information anyway to give it to the tour operator to know when to pick you up on arrival and things like that also. But we can assist with getting everyone together from the cities.
And keep in mind, it would be good for them to send us a copy of their, like a scanned copy of their passports.
Right.
As well.
Right, with all their travel itinerary and things of that nature.
Neat. Okay.
Any final questions then?
I was going to, Sidama, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I don't know if Shamsari or Shirley, if you can say a few words about the temple program. which we're trying to do. And we said it is separate because if we included it and kind of force everyone to do it, it would make the fee, higher. So it is still optional, but definitely, it would be recommended. I don't know if either of them would want to say a few words about the Temple program, just to give an idea. This one, we've requested two things. Whether that'll happen or not, because, the security is the security and we have limited control, but Sivama specifically requested that we want to have more privacy. We do not want to have any interruptions, and we do not want to have them, hanging out and chitting and chatting by themselves, disrupting our program once we were into a program, I think most people became oblivious to their presence and even to their chatting. But at the same time, we don't want that. So I don't also know if that's why they raised the fee as well a little bit, so because we are requesting a little bit more privacy. I don't know. But hopefully it will be a little bit more private, whatever that means, than it was last time. So I don't know if you all can say, those who were there last time, a few words about the Temple program.
Me, Dua, I've already decided that I'm going to include that in my package for this year. I had several profound experiences, and that temple ritual was right up there at the top on a very personal level. I was thrilled that there was going to be another trip that was a little bit more concentrated on the temple of Seti Ua because it was for me a life-changing experience. So I'm looking to build on that, and without question, I will be in doing the ritual. Hetep.
Good job, Dua. Yeah, I recommend everyone go and play the reflections from last year's tour, and you'll get the impression of how people felt after. Any final questions or comments before we conclude?
I was going to say not only the impressions, though, but people also gave specific details about what features they liked at specific temple. So it can also give insight into, what to look for and, and things like that as well. A little bit of a prelude to the actual physical tour.
Right, and this year's ritual, if we can get together to do it, is going to be different from last year's. So you can expect that as well. It's going to be something in keeping with the kind of trip that this is, which is a kind of a more immersed program. Even though it came out very, very well, but it's also going to have some changes to reflect and to emphasize some of the teaching that will be given. So I'll leave it at that for now. Let your imagination go with it.
I have one question. At one time, you were talking about the recording and of the temple ritual. Has that ever happened? That magic sound and so forth, has that been recorded, and is that available? Because that in and of itself is pretty amazing. So if so, I would definitely want to hear that, and I think perhaps those who might be considering the trip might be interested in hearing something like that. Hetep.
Yes, Sehu Kepra made a recording, audio recording, because we weren't allowing videos and different things. And I think it came out good. I would prefer to restrict it to those who attended. So I prefer that it not be shared with those who did not attend. for spiritual reasons, for energetic reasons, for if we can also extend political reasons. But those who attend will get that also again in a special way for themselves, because those who attended, if you listen to the recording, you'll be able to be in that place again. If you're listening to it not having been there, it's not exactly the same anyway. So that particular recording, if you want to ask Sehu Kepra, because I don't know if I have it here with me, I'm still in South America. If he can share it, send you a copy, and but if it could be restricted to those who attended, I think I would appreciate that. So,
Did you say Sehu Kepra Ang?
correct, Ni.
Dua Hetep.
I think he's on the call now, isn't he? Do you have? If you're there, do you have that accessible, or I can look at it when I get off as well?
Oja.
Oja.
Yes, I have it. Yes, I have it. I just have to look back for where it is.
Okay, very well. If you can find it, you can share it with Sherry and anyone on the trip that inquires of it. I appreciate it. Okay, any other questions or comments? So we hope that everyone is able to join us. I think it's going to be a memorable trip, pilgrimage. And one of the things that really makes it special, like I said, is that we're doing them not as tours. And we discovered some special people in Abydos that have created a wonderful facility that facilitates what we're trying to do. And that makes not all the difference, but makes a lot of the difference. Having a venue that we can use and be secure in and be relaxed and not have to be, hiding what we're doing, because other hotels and things you have to, because the people are so orthodox that they don't appreciate other religions. But here we can feel very secure and relaxed and be in our element, which adds additional capacity to understand and practice the teaching, which is all good.
Sebama,
Nate?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Did you, sorry, give me one moment, I'm doing something else here.
I see a little typo here to fix the 2015 trip. So, Joe? So, did we lose you? So, can you hear me? If you're speaking, we cannot hear you. So if you want, you can try logging out and logging back in. Okay, you can hear me, but I cannot hear you guys now. Okay, you're asking if I discuss the travel insurance. First of all, can everyone hear me? Just to make sure that I'm still on. Okay. Yes, in the information package here, uh, everyone should have travel insurance. And we used you can use a company of your choice. We presented the company that we used last time for the group. But this is purchased individually. But if you find something that will give you full coverage and also in the event of an accident or something that they do evacuation from the country, airlift and things of that nature. Or you can check with your insurance if you have insurance currently and see if it covers that. And also send us a copy of that as well, if you will, so we can have it for our records. Here.
Say bye.
Hey, Sensory.
You mentioned to hold off on booking airline information until everything is definitely a go. That would include the travel insurance as well. Hatep?
I think as of today, we are a go. And the only thing is, as I said last time, if there is any terrorist thing that might happen or something erupts in Egypt or something like that might cause us to cancel. The travel insurance also, this particular travel insurance also covers if there is any terrorist activity in the city that we're going within 30 days and that kind of thing. So that's one of the reasons we chose it last year. We do not expect that, but it can always happen. So if we have to cancel, it'll pay for whatever the expense has been. So if you've the trip cost $2,000, then it'll refund that if something were to happen like that. And that's this insurance that we used last time included that. So you can check and see what they have. But as of today a go, so you can start making your reservations and sending all your payments in for the ground portion, getting your insurance. We're like almost 90 days out, so we are a go.
Pooja? Sabima, can you hear?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I didn't do anything different.
Okay. The internet gods.
I was going to say I think there's something if the State Department has to declare, basically what a lot of these companies look for is before they would or give us refunds and things like that, is if the State Department declares that there's an issue. And judging from the last time, there were a couple of incidents that had occurred in some areas, but the State Department did not, do anything or say anything. So we might, at that point, and that's what happened last time with the, those of you who were there with the ritual. If you recall, that night they had actually that day or the day before they had a bombing in Cairo of one of the justice or something. And so everything now was on total high alert. So we were essentially swamped with police, and that was partly why the fee for the ritual, they said, was increased. At one point, we were told that we would have to pay for the lodging of 35 soldiers and their breakfast at the hotel if we wanted to do the ritual. This is in addition to whatever, we were told would be the basic cost. So that's why I said, things change on the ground. So you should have some buffer funds because things do change on the ground, things that we have no knowledge or awareness of sometimes until, that's the time. the State Department apparently doesn't, and I think in all of that, the State Department never, made any announcements or concerns with all of that was going on in the ground. So I think it would have to be something big for the State Department to act. So even for the ritual last time, we had all congregated and we had a meeting, and we, basically spoke to everyone and said, this is what happened today, as we were informed of it. And therefore, the security is on high alert right now. We were like the only Americans, in so many of the previous cities we traveled. And so there were many more soldiers that were sent to this particular area, which normally is very quiet and peaceful. They weren't even expecting that because of the incident occurred. So we gave everyone the chance to opt out of doing the ritual because of, the concerns. But everyone agreed, decided they still wanted to do the ritual, and we said special prayers for protection, and we carried on with it. So the whole trip, if something happens right before, it will likely, and if the State Department, is not making any big announcement about it or any caution to travel there, if the companies with the travel insurance, won't refund us because they don't consider it as a terrorist issue because the State Department, then it becomes like an individual choice that you have to make, whether you want to proceed with it or not at that point in time. So just to be aware, there's that issue as well.
So I think, if I recall correctly, there were two parts. Okay. The travel agency had that restriction or that bar that if the State Department issues an advisory, a travel advisory to U.S. citizens not to go, then they would refund. But the insurance is separate from that. The insurance had, as I recall, the issue of if there's a terrorist act within 30 days in the city that you're traveling to and that kind of thing. So I believe there were two separate things. But anyway, having the insurance on your own ensures that you can, have that added security and added capacity, not lose the funds from the trip and things of that nature.
Uja, one last thing on a practical level. We're going to be staying in Luxor and Abydos, which are smaller venues than a lot of them that we were on cruise boats and so forth on the trip before, and there on the cruise boats and also in the hotels, we had access to changing our dollars into Egyptian pound. Will we have opportunity, as we did before in Abydos, to make trips to their bank, or are we on our own with that?
No, I think we will be. It's going to be a stay like last time, but extended. So there'll be plenty of time. Most of the program will be in the morning and evening, and then in the afternoon there'll be a lot of time for personal reflection, for if you want to sleep or hang out by the pool or go back to the temple. So there'll be lots of time for that, and for going, organizing a group to go to the bank, change money. So there should be lots of time. Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and conclude for now then. So like I said, everything is a go, so start making reservations. We're doing ours, and get your insurance, get your payments in, look at all the information, and we'll be moving along. And you've all been placed in well, not all of you. Some of you are in a Google group email for special communications as you go forward. If you want to go on the trip and you're not on the list, you should get on the list. Send an email to you can send it to EgyptianYoga@AOL.com and say that you want to be on the trip email group, and you should be able to also see past emails at the bottom here. For some reason it's not coming up, but it should be here. It's probably because it won't work on Firefox. So, but anyway, get on the email list so that you can be abreast of all the goings on and any changes that may come up, and or any information that is necessary or that's helpful to everyone, and we'll move forward. Possibly we may have another one of these webinars as we get closer, but I think these last two webinars are very informative, so yeah, we'll just move forward with that as need be. Okay, do everyone for joining, and like I said, I hope to see you on this, and we'll go ahead and conclude. Om Pata 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 Pata.